Councilman Roman?
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, Linden. I just want to start and say Happy Easter and have a happy Passover to everyone out there. Last month I reported on my second annual spring cleanup of the 6th Ward. I'm pushing it to Saturday, May 4th. There's a lot of cleanups going on April 27th. I think April 20th is too close to Easter. I think April 27th is, there's so many in Rawway Park with the Boy Scouts at 8 a.m. You should go down there on the county road in Winfield, and just numerous others. So I'm pushing out to May 4th. So please stay tuned and see Facebook and other things for that event. There are some issues going on at some of our intersections. Obviously, I talk about Clinton and Woodlawn constantly. I really want to thank Linden Police Department, the chief, our traffic height unit, who's been cracking down on these big trucks coming through our residential streets. You know, if you come down one of these light traffic streets as a big truck, you're facing a $1,000 fine. And I've seen 3 of these trucks be pulled over by our height unit in the last month. And I really appreciate the police department for that. My hope is the increased enforcement, people are getting this ticket. What driver wants to go back to their employer saying, I got a $1,000 ticket? You know, I know that's a little steep, but at the same time, my residents come first. And they pay a lot of taxes to live there and not have their electricity ripped off their house every time a big truck's trying to come through one of our blocks. And it happens constantly. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, the department. Thank you, the traffic height unit and traffic as a whole. I'm still waiting on traffic studies to get back from Clinton and Woodlawn that I requested through Traffic Accident Review Committee, also on Jefferson and Munsell. So please be patient. I should know by next month how those went. Smith Street, there's some issues on Smith Street, which is all the way near the Rawway border, near the old GM property, future Legacy Square property. There's a lot of shrubs back there. And I've been in contact with the engineer for Conrail, who's going to help me facilitate a process where they go up there and they clean their own train line back there. So Smith Street residents, please, I've heard your call. I've got a contract going with the Conrail, and it's coming. Legacy Square, I attended a planning board meeting last week. It was a long one. We were there pretty late. Or the topic was, the final topic actually out of the 4 or 5 topics there was Legacy Square. So I just wanted to go over that. This Legacy Square is old GM property. They haven't changed their plan since 2014, so that they were coming back to change the plan. It's still a preliminary plan. It's not set in stone, but this is what they're working towards. And it's very much like Clark Commons kind of, where on the front there's gonna be a lot of kind of fast food joints. And in the back, there's going to be probably, most likely, LA Fitness. I'm not really comfortable by saying any other tenants because it's just not set in stone, and I don't want to jinx it. But I did hear of a brewery. What their preliminary plan calls for is 1,984 parking spaces in Legacy Square. Also calls for 3 7,000 square foot restaurants, which I'm super excited about. I ran on a platform saying I'm 29, I'm 31 now, 29 years old, and every one of my friends hit me up on a Friday night and say, let's go to that place in Rawway or Roselle or wherever. And I really think in the next couple of years, people are gonna start calling and say, let's go to that new place in Linden, and that, it just excites me so much. So I wanted to give you an update on that. Thank you for everyone who's involved in working on that. Going forward, if you need any sidewalks done, please give me a call. I have a few on the list that weren't done last year that still need to be done for this year. So if you do have a sidewalk, I will come down and see it. Call me 908-494-5784. The Union County Spray Park in Wheeler Park is quickly going up. Finally, it's been a year and a half or so. And they should be done right around June for a ribbon cutting, sometime in May or June. I will update you at the next meeting as I have time to do that. So far, they laid the concrete 2 weeks ago. They got the units all up. I see the Dragon and the Volkswagen bus sitting there. You know, you're talking 50 different water spraying things, a big bucket that drops on the kids. I mean, it's like almost like Dorney Park. It's going to be one of the nicest actually the developer, the contractor told me this is basically one of the nicest spray parks he's ever done. It's gonna be right here in the 6th Ward. So I'm excited about it going forward. Wheeler's gonna go under a lot of reconstruction by the county. They have talked about doing, they've come to this council to talk about it, that they wanted to do turf fields over near Wood Avenue along with an extra parking lot to have the extra space of more people being in our park. I'm all about it. I've addressed your concerns with the Stimson entrance, with the Kennedy fence alongside the entrance of Wheeler Park and Kennedy Drive, and also the basketball court. Mr. Thompson, I know I got your email today. They will be redoing the basketball court, actually making it bigger as well. So I'm super excited about all this. I'm excited to be your representation as it's going on, so I can help facilitate it and make it, even if I make it that much a little bit better, I'm still leaving my my mark on the park. It will soon be one of the best county parks, if not the best, going forward. So that gets everything I wanted to talk about except for this out of the way. So it's come to my attention last year that a developer and a contractor who were demolishing at the new Lifestyles 2 building did not properly abate, or they didn't take out the asbestos out of the existing buildings that were there on 100 South Wood Avenue. On April 6, 2018, upon complaints from neighbors and others, Inspector James Harris and Inspector Pete Alvarez of the New Jersey Department of Labor Asbestos Unit went to the demolition site and inspected the area. At the time of arrival, debris and asbestos-filled dust were flying around in the wind. The asbestos abatement company hired by the developer, which is named Stanmark, was not on site, which is a violation of New Jersey state law, and they were fined for that. The company doing the demolition was not using water suppression to wet down the properties in order to keep the asbestos dust particles levels out of the air, which is also a violation of New Jersey state law, and they were fined for this. Furthermore, in according to the State Asbestos Control and Licensing Department, several samples were taken from the debris at this site. Inspector Harris collected samples of roofing, stucco, plasters. Samples of roofing, flashing, painted plaster were identified as asbestos positive, 3.9%, 1.25%, 10.4%, and 10.5% crystalline asbestos, respectively. The trucks that were used to haul away the asbestos-contaminated dust were not equipped properly, and nor were they licensed to haul asbestos-related material away. And I assume, and this is just an assumption, that the asbestos dirt was put in an area where asbestos dirt is not supposed to be put. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how it was allowed to happen. I stood out in the wind videotaping the demolition from my deck, which is no more than 40 feet away, and I wanted to show you this, of how disgusted I am about this, and I want you to see this. This is from my deck. I'm no more than 40 feet away from this. This was midday, going on for 2 or 3 days before, at least 2 days before any repercussions to protect people were taken. So, I was out front in the property taking pictures. I was posting on Facebook saying how happy I was and how ecstatic I was that finally the Transit Village would have a new restaurant and new amenities and the progress that was happening in the 6th Ward. I never thought that there was a possibility that the dust I was breathing in could be toxic, as I wrongfully assumed that the asbestos would have been removed in accordance with state law. That ecstatic feeling is now gone, and I have the paperwork here from the state for anyone willing to want to look at it. It is right here. It's operable. Honestly, I don't matter here. I'm just one man. I don't have a wife or children yet, and I hope to one day, but I don't now. What really matters to me is the children that were walking to and from school at School 6 that day, breathing in contaminated asbestos particles. I worry about my neighbors and my friends and the people that I represent who have become like family to me. The demolition of this block was done improperly, and I, as the voice of the 6th Ward, want to know why. I'm calling for an impartial state investigation in order to find out exactly what happened here and how we can stop it from ever happening again. I believe the state has better resources to investigate the situations with subpoenas, if need be, of text messages, emails, and GPS location in order to find out what happened and in order to find out all who could have been involved in allowing this to happen. I will also ask the state to look into what possible reason the Parkside Inn, which was on the opposite side of the block, was taken down in the middle of a snowstorm a few months prior. This block was also tested, and it found that asbestos was in that building as well. Furthermore, the Linden City Council and the Linden City government going forward absolutely has to contract with an independent asbestos investigator and not rely on inspectors that the developers hire themselves. We will then require any redevelopers who want to rip down old structures to pay for the services of our independent asbestos inspector so that there will be no cost to the taxpayers. This will ensure that in future, no more children will be exposed to asbestos-contaminated dust simply going home from school, along with none of our residents or people traveling in our city will not be exposed. This will ensure that we will take care of our taxpayers while providing a safe environmental standards for both the residents of Linden as well as people contracted to work at these sites, since clearly little was done to protect them. Next month, I will be sending a letter, and I will personally propose a resolution asking the New Jersey State Legislature to change the Asbestos Control and Licensing Act, which was last amended in 1984. This is the law that handles asbestos in our state. The maximum fines for dumping asbestos is $25,000. The fines for asbestos dumping needs to be quadrupled to $100,000 in order to ensure developers do not take an easy way out. If abatement costs $100,000 and a fine is a maximum of $25,000 if you do indeed get caught, there's really no incentive to safely remove the asbestos and protect our children and residents. I would like to thank Inspector Harris and Inspector Alvarez of the New Jersey Department of Labor Office of Asbestos Control and Licensing for their due diligence. Their due diligence is the only reason that this is coming to light, and I appreciate them, and so do our residents. Some people will question why this developer may have been complacent in this matter, and I don't know yet what that was, which is why I'm asking for the state to start an investigation. I'm sorry to break the news like this here in council, but this is why I'm here. I'm here for you. I serve Linden, and no one else. The builders of this city need to protect our neighborhoods like they live here, which it appears that they have not. Thank you, Council President. That concludes my report.